you don't meet the low to moderate income levels, then you can't even apply. So.
What happens if you don't?
If you don't meet it,
Yeah.
then you can't apply for that grant.
For Oprah's.
So we're still bound by all of the contracts we're having signed, though.
Now, you can still apply to the state revolving fund and rural development for their funds. They don't need the actual income survey. I mean, I gotta believe you would qualify.
Based on the other towns that you've worked with.
Well, and you've qualified in the past
We
for
currently
this,
have an SRF.
but you got the Oprah grants as well before, so you qualified in the past. I don't know if anything has changed with people's income or, you know, newer people moving in, so you should
Right.
qualify again.
I think that, if, you know, one of the key things that was said is, if we contact Triad and we stop them in their tracks, it might be the smart thing to do is call them and ask them how they're progressing with it, to find out, to get them to tell you how far they are into the process. If they haven't started it, then it puts us at an advantage to ask out.
I know they've
Oh, but
already,
I'm gonna be super generous. I wouldn't expect that.
No.
Once your name's on that line, well,
Yeah, I think we need to contact them.
Yeah, I think that's where we start contacting first and see if we can get up from the preliminary report.
And leave the door to door as is for right now.
Yeah,
because
they
they don't
can-
do door to door.
They can still do the door to
Yeah,
door.
still do the door to door.
So I guess we'll see, we'll go from there and see if first we can get up from that.
Well, thanks for your time this evening, and
Thanks for coming.
hopefully I would explain things a little bit better. I know it's been a while since we presented those original costs.
Right.
But,
Well, and it's also kind of good to know what we're getting versus repairing and.
right, yeah.
And,
Yeah, and I mean, I understand you guys don't do this all the time, and you're not operators or anything, so, but if you've not been out to the treatment plant, you know, go out there and take a look, and kind of show you what, a little bit what we were planning, so you have a little bit better idea.
That's where we initiate every new town board member.
Right, take out sewer plant first, fun stuff.
Yeah, the
So,
hazing begins.
I do have to get to another meeting as well,
Alright.
so I
Thanks
appreciate your
again,
time.
And we'll let you know something.
thank you.
Thank you.
Alrighty. It's all you.
Hey, Jenny.
I don't know that you'd have to stay for this.
I thought SIDC just talked to them.
That was different. She's with the housing grant,
Yes, I'm,
so.
we have separate projects
you,
going
Rita.
on in the house, or in the office. A year ago, I talked with, I think it was you, about the town seeking grant funds for a housing rehabilitation project. So the first thing we did is try to get you the match money. We understand with small communities, match monies for these housing rehab projects are hard since you're only helping a few people. So what we did is SIDC is able to apply to USDA Rural Development for a housing preservation grant. We did that back in 2012 and we did not get the funding. So thus we did not pursue trying to get a state grant through Indiana Housing and Community Development Authority. Applications for USDA Rural Development came up again. I know I talked with John, I think Beth as well, to see if we wanted to try and do it again. And so we did, and this time we were successful in getting a $15,000 grant. The grant is to SIDC, but we earmarked that for the town of Odin. And so we have $15,000 that we can now go to, or the town can go to Indiana Housing and Community Development Authority. That will, the $15,000 will allow you to get a $150,000 grant, or that's what you can apply for. With a $150,000 grant, you could assist 7 homes in the community. And that would be providing an average of $18,786 in actual hard cost rehab funds to those 7 homes. And that's combining the Indiana Housing Grant and also the Housing Preservation Grant that SIDC has.
That's awesome.
So when we did this, it was a few years ago. It's been a few years ago. I think you were coming on, you were on
I
the
was
board,
on, yeah.
Carly, and you were coming on the board. We came in and took applications in 2 days and we received a bunch. And so I think that's what kind of prompted the town in wanting to try to do this again. It's a competitive grant process. There are 2 funding cycles for the funding year. They've already had one. The next one comes up in March, which all times well with the HPG grant that SIDC received. And so kind of basically just wanting to see if the town would still like to pursue that. Not saying that there would not be any cost to the town for the Indiana Housing Grant. There are a couple of legal notice publications that would have to be published. One is for a public hearing that has to be held prior to the application. SIDC cannot pay that as part of being a part of SIDC. And then there is also another publication, legal notice for a environmental review, notice to request release of funds. Both of those have to be done prior to the application going in. Those are have-tos, which I don't think the publishing costs are extremely high at the paper, which you use the Odin Journal, correct?
They're high.
Yeah,
They're
real
high.
They're
If you treat me
terrible.
right, it could be waived.
The other thing is that since it is a competitive grant program, if the town were able to put in some funds towards this, you would get points on your application, which, like I said, it is competitive. The town of Elnora was just awarded a grant a couple months ago. I can't tell you the exact number, but I was thinking it was anywhere maybe like $700, $500, $700, something like that they put in. It's a percentage. The state has a kind of a guideline here. If you put in 1% of the grant request, we'll give you X amount of points and so forth. And then I can work with that. It's not something that you have to decide on tonight or anything like that. We can talk with her and tell her what the dollar amounts are and everything and kind of go from there. But other than that, you're talking, you've got your match money already in place with the SIDC grant that we have received. Just want to see if you would like to pursue that with the March deadline coming up. I believe the deadline's March 6th or 7th for that. We would usually like to try to take applications from homeowners. We have to do that prior to the grant application going in. With winter coming up, we were kind of thinking of probably starting in around November so that people don't have to get out. Indiana Housing Grant is also, you can target a couple populations. You can, to get, there again, points on your application, the elderly, 55 and older, or disabled. Just anyone in the home has to be 55 or disabled. And then also, we have been also now suggesting doing families with children. So that covers almost everybody. The people that will fall out, fall between the cracks are the married couple that is under 55. They're not going to qualify for either one of those.
And that went just.
Unless they're
homeowners
disabled.
too, didn't it?
It's homeowners, yes, it's owner occupied, you have to own the home,
Right.
be living in it. Single wide trailers are not eligible, and manufactured housing typically is not with the HPG funds that we have. So those would not be assisted. Contract sales are not eligible. If somebody's buying on contract, that would not be. Flip-flop back and forth through the years about life estates. We're about 99% sure that life estates will now be eligible again. But that's an if right now. As it is right now, they are not. But before this goes in, we should have that final ruling whether or not they would allow them. Homeowners typically, with the amount of grant funds that we have here, they would have to own the home for a period of 3 years. And that's from the time that they sign a lien. There is a lien between the town and the homeowner. So that way, basically, the homeowner doesn't go out, get the work done on their home, turn around, sell it, make a profit. the intent is then if it is sold for whatever reason, first thing that the state would like, that it's sold to another low to moderate income home buyer. And we would just verify the income of them, just as we did the homeowner.